Hello, everybody. My name is Roy Nemmer of Mundo, Albiceleste.com. Big night for Argentina. Sealed the group stages of the Copa America with a 4-1 win versus Bolivia. We're going to be talking about it all. We're going to be discussing it all. We're going to talk about the players, what's coming up, the quarterfinal match on Saturday. We know will be versus Ecuador. It's going to be a difficult road if Argentina wants to make the final and finally lift that trophy. But you know what? You got to do what you got to do, and let's get to it. Let's get to it, everybody. I see a couple of people already in the chat. I see Jaco Taco. I see Sports Planet. I see. I'm sorry, I'm trying to pronounce this properly. Abul Qasim. I see a couple of other people in there as well. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live. We're live. Once more, my name is Roy Nemmer, and let's get to it, everybody. So. Big 4-1 win versus Bolivia. It was something. It was something. I think a lot of us were expecting this match, particularly in the group, to be the one where Argentina probably get the most goals, and that's what happened. We got 2 from Messi. We got 1 from Papu Gomez. We finally got one from Lautaro, which was nice to see as well. A very well deserved goal for him. He needed that. He needs that boost in confidence. I see a couple of people here. So hello, people from Queens, New York, people from India, people from Nepal. I'm going through this here. So good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, and thank you for joining. First comment. Let's just get to it right away. We're going to talk about the win. We're going to talk about everything. So Jaco Taco says this match could have ended 7-1. Bolivia's goalkeeper had a great match. He absolutely did. Argentina could have probably hit double digits with at least 10 goals. I have Fifi from Ghana, so everyone, Simone from Trinidad and Tobago, absolutely, it's crazy to do this. Let's get to it. So the starting 11, right? The starting 11 was announced were Monday. It was announced on Sunday by Coach Lionel Scaloni. It's up on screen now. So no Emiliano Martinez, obviously no Martinez in goal. It was Franco Armani, Montiel on the right side, Pasella and Lisandro Martinez as the 2 center backs, and Marcos Acuna as the left back. No Nicolas Tagliafico. In midfield, Guido Rodriguez as the defensive midfielder. Alongside him, Ezequiel Palacios, Alejandro Papu Gomez, just slightly up front. And then the front 3 of Messi on the right, Agüero in the middle, and what was on paper supposed to be Angel Correa on the left, but that's not what we got at all. What did you guys think of the 11? Let me know. I'm going to read through your comments. I thought on paper anyways, it was a good 11. A couple of disappointments for me, and we're going to get to it, and we're going to get to your disappointments as well. But for the most part, I thought it was good. I thought it was exciting, very dynamic. Angel Correa for me was the big surprise. Like I said, we're going to get to it. Savvy right off the bat, writes, Kuhn's over-the-top pass to the maestro, perfection, right? For the 3rd goal of the match. Agüero's a little dink ball over to Leo to Messi. That was good. That was a nice one. Jaco Taco, this 11 works versus teams like Bolivia, but not sure if it can work versus the stronger side. I think certain parts of it could work, if I'm being honest. I think the front 3, I'm a big fan of Correa. After just in general, I thought he had a good season with Atletico, obviously winning the league. And I thought he had a very good showing tonight in the first half. And we're going to talk about that when we get to the goals. I think the midfield was kind of the one that was lacking. Ezequiel Palacios, for me, was the weak point. And Montiel as well on the right side, I thought, not too good. But we're going to get to it. I thought in general, it was a solid team, though. Good question here coming in from Wasan. He says, where was Papu Gomez all this time? And it's going to be very interesting to see what Scaloni does with Papu Gomez, because 2 games, 2 goals, and he's been playing well. The goals aside, Papu Gomez these past 2 games has been playing very well. He's taken his opportunity, taken his chances. So it'll be interesting to see what Scaloni does with him in the quarterfinal match versus Ecuador. Does he start Papu Gomez? Does he bench him? Does he go with the traditional midfield that we've been getting? It's going to be cool. What happens with Guido Rodriguez? Because obviously he hasn't really been in the plans. Paredes get dropped. We're going to talk about all of this. John, hello, John from Malaysia, writes, hope this goal will improve Lautaro's confidence. I hope so. I hope so. He, definitely needed that goal, and he got the goal, and he still kind of missed 2 chances after that. So hopefully that doesn't play on his confidence too much. So here we go. Golden Crickfoot writes, midfield trio of DePaul, Gomez, and Guido. Maybe that would be my 3, but we're gonna get to this in a little bit. We're gonna get to it in a little bit. Ayman writes, big win for Argentina, but this really is overshadowed by today's fantastic football in the Euro Cup. Yes, but you know what? It's South America. Copa America has its own charm as well. So let's leave it at that. Metal. Here we go. So this is obviously not a big fan of Armani here. Cleon writes, Palacios just needs to be integrated. I'm going to talk about Palacios in a little bit when I get to the players and stuff, but I was not really impressed, if I'm being very honest. I was not impressed by Palacios today. Metal writes, Angel Correa needs to start in the knockout games. He's the perfect attacker we need right now. And you know what? Let's get to it. Let's get to the goals, right? So let's get to the goals. First thing that we had, obviously, as we mentioned, Messi with 2, Papu Gomez opened the scoring, and Lautaro Martinez got the 4th. So the first goal, and obviously due to YouTube copyrights, we can't play the goal. But the first goal, for those that missed it, or for those just maybe slightly forgot it, Angel Correa picks up the ball towards the center, center right, drives towards the middle, passes it to Messi. Messi turns around. Papu Gomez perfectly times his run the same way he did versus Paraguay off that Di Maria pass. So Messi turns around, dinks the ball over the Bolivian back line, and a perfect strike by Papu Gomez gives Argentina the 1-0 lead early on in the match, just like we've become accustomed to. This entire month, pretty much in the past 6 matches, Argentina's been scoring relatively early in the first half as well. So no difference here. I thought it was a well-worked goal. I thought it was a very, very well-worked goal, to be honest with you. Savi writes, Maestro's dink pass in tight quarters. It was impressive. Correa's run moving forward. Correa, for me, yes, obviously Messi's Messi, and we're gonna talk about Messi, but Leo, everyone knows about Messi, and we're gonna talk about Papu Gomez as well. But for me, Correa maybe is that missing link that we need on that left side. Di Maria played great versus Paraguay, and for me, he was the man of the match, and he was ultimately voted the man of the match. But as good as he is, and I like Di Maria, I feel like Correa is more maybe consistent or more reliable, because you never know which Di Maria version you'll get. So for me, personally speaking, I would probably go with Correa versus Bolivia. But hey, we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. I'm gonna get your starting 11s versus Ecuador for Saturday. So we'll keep those in mind for just a little bit. Now that was the first goal. The second goal, Papu Gomez involved once more. He gets stripped, penalty, nice little cut. So he faked going right, cut back straight, got tripped, taken down. Up steps Messi, scores. We mentioned the Euro Cup earlier. Obviously France versus Switzerland. There were some good penalties. This one was a good penalty as well by Messi, really in the side corner to the goalkeeper's left. Goalkeeper, kind of stayed in the middle, and not an easy penalty, right? Not an easy penalty. They never are these days anymore. So Messi, side netting, gets it in. 2-0 Argentina. And the third goal for me, I want to say maybe it's the goal of the match, goal of the night, maybe. I want to say that, but let me know what was your favorite goal. Leave a comment. I'm going to go through it in just a couple of moments. Let me know what your favorite goal was. But I'm torn between the first and the third. I love the overall teamwork of the first, but that second one was a beauty. Agüero with that, that dink ball over the top. Messi, perfectly timed run. First time finish, chips it over the goalkeeper. Yeah, it's Lionel Messi. It's Messi doing Messi things. It's, a goal in typical Lionel Messi fashion. And, he got that one. That was the third. So Argentina finally got more than 2 goals in a match. They got, obviously in the end, they got 4. And this was the first time since, I want to say it was the 6-1 win versus Ecuador back in October 2019. This was the first time since then, so since a year and a half now, that Argentina have scored more than 2 goals on a match. So first time in a year and a half that Argentina scored more than twice. Going through, I'm going to go through your comments right away, right? Let's see what your favorite goal was. Ashik says, the first. That was his favorite. Anthony Garcia as well. His favorite goal was Papu Gomez, that first one. What else here? Oh, Vinny says the third. Jaco Taco says, Papu's goal was the best just because of the pass and Papu's touch. Obviously, the finish. Sports Planet writes Agüero's pass to Messi. Ashik, the first goal. Luciano Molina says the first. Paro Miguel says the third goal, golazo. So, it's we're getting half and half. A couple people said, I love the dink. Faz says that finish from Papu was cold. Luciano Molina, good statistic. And we're going to get to that. So Wasan says Papu was the best goal. And this one here, this statistic by Luciano Molina, writes, also it's the first goal for Messi from open play since June 7th, 2019. So I'm guessing since the last Copa America, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But I want to say that's it was then, right? It was the June 2019 since the Copa America. So that was the third goal. And then the fourth was, it involved Messi again. He didn't get an assist, but he played it out wide to Marcos Acuna. Acuna with the low-driven pass, which kind of bounces a couple of times. It found Montiel, if I'm not mistaken. Montiel's shot was initially blocked. It fell to Lautaro Martinez, who was subbed in at that point for Agüero, and Lautaro fires it in, just fully, roofs it for the 4-1. And at that point, obviously, Bolivia had scored. And Bolivia's goal, I'm going to be a little bit harsh, even though I love Lisandro Martinez. I really do. I'm going to be a little bit harsh on him. I thought he was at fault for Bolivia's goal. Overcommitted. So Acuna was slightly higher up the pitch. Lisandro Martinez overcommits. Ball goes through him. Pass into the area. Lisandro cannot get back on time. Pasella can't double mark two people. And, fire goal past Armani. So that was the Bolivia goal. Those were the Argentina goals. And you guys there you go. So thank you for correcting me, guys. It was versus Nicaragua. So not the Copa America. It was versus Nicaragua prior. So it was a friendly match. There you go. You guys just corrected me here. So always good. That's why I like you guys. I love you guys. Thank you for joining. And if you haven't already, please, if you have not already, hit that like button. If you enjoy what you're seeing, hit that subscribe button to subscribe and never miss a thing. We're in the knockout stages of the Copa America. A lot of stuff coming up. So hit that subscribe button to not miss a thing regarding the Argentina national team. Savi writes, here we go. He writes, happy for Lautaro. Hope it gives him his confidence going forward. I mentioned that earlier as well. I truly hope so. He needed that goal. However, my only worry, and I hope it doesn't affect him, was even after that goal, he got two chances. I'm not going to say easy, but they were not the most difficult chances either, where he shot it and the Bolivian goalkeeper he stopped everything, and Lautaro was not able to get a second goal of the match. He's unfortunate for him, but hopefully it doesn't affect his confidence. Let's get to it. Let's get to the good. So, my favorite three players, Messi aside. I'm not going to touch about Messi. We always Sebastian Garcia always says, well, we're going to talk about the good, excluding the alien that is Messi. So excluding Messi, the good. Let me know who are your three, your three standout players, or the three players that you like from today's match. I'm going to go with Angel Correa. I thought he was very good. A lot of good movements, a lot of fake, the runs, the movements, the drop of the shoulder this way, going that way. I thought he was excellent. I thought he was very, very good, specifically in the first half before getting subbed off. My second, let's say, good, Papu Gomez. Papu for me was solid. Really, really enjoyed it. And I tweeted this. I said, maybe Papu is that missing link that we've been missing, so to speak. He's that missing piece in the team. I thought Correa did very well, up front, But Gomez, yes, Gomez not the best defensively, although I saw him track back several times today. I thought his defensive game was solid, more solid this time than it was versus Paraguay. But for me, Papu Gomez, that drive forward, that pass, that dribble, he could get you opportunities. He could create opportunities for himself and for others. So for me, Angel Correa, Papu Gomez, and my third one, and I'm torn on the third if I'm being honest, and I'm looking at your comments. So before I give you guys my third, I'm going to read some of yours. Paro Miguel writes, Correa, Papu, Acuna. Kmark writes Papu, Correa, and Guido. So Guido Rodriguez. Elias Matar says Angel, Papu, and Acuna. Here we go. Let's go back a little bit. Sports Planet writes Agüero, Correa, Papu. Tony writes Correa was amazing at turning. Correa, he was solid. He was solid, guys. I really enjoyed him. Really enjoyed him. Let's take a comment off Facebook. Patrick Saloom writes Papu, Montiel, and Correa. So interesting that you mentioned Montiel, because Montiel for me was probably one of the weaker ones. Probably, but it could just be me. We'll see. And going back, Anthony Garcia writes Correa, Papu, and Guido. And Shah Fitness writes Guido, Papu, and Correa. So those are some of your three favorite ones. My third one, if I'm being honest, I'm going to side with some of the comments here. I thought Guido Rodriguez was key in that midfield. He dropped back several times, as the defensive midfielder role, specifically in the second half when Bolivia saw a little bit more of the ball. Guido really dropped back, and he played that role very well. He's been playing that role ever since coming into the team. So for me, those were the three: Angel Correa, Papu Gomez, and Guido Rodriguez. That's not to say that there were not, three other good ones. I thought Agüero was sharp. He's still missing a little bit of sharpness, but I thought he was solid for the most part. Obviously happy for Lautaro. I thought Lisandro Martinez was good. I thought he was actually very good, but he was at fault for the goal. Watching it back, I watched the replay again, and I hate to point the blame and point the finger, but that chance, I think that was maybe on him, just overcommitting. And hey, it happens. Luckily, it happened in this match as opposed to a knockout match. I'd rather get it out of the way here than bring it on than later on. And Luciano Molina writes the fullbacks were bad. So this brings me to my maybe not so good. So we spoke about the good, the not so good. I saw a couple of comments as well. People were asking, what do you think of Franco Armani, or Franco Armani was bad? Honestly, I thought Franco Armani did well. If I'm being honest, I thought his passing was very much on point. His clearances for the most part were very sharp. He had that one save in the first half. From distance, parried it away. He didn't have too much to do. There was that one opportunity as well by Bolivia, the corner, where the ball kind of landed to him. So I'm not going to be harsh on Armani at all. I thought he did decent. Can't fault him for the goal at all. Not his fault. I would not blame him by any means for the goal. I thought Armani was decent. However, I would still like to see Emiliano Martinez as the goalkeeper versus Ecuador, and I think that's what we're going to get as well. My top three not so good. Let me know. Write it here, guys. What do you guys think? So Wes Mills writes Agüero's first touch and finishing. Let me know what your maybe top three not so good players. Leave a comment here. So here we go. Sushovan writes not so good. Armani, Montiel, Palacios. Sports Planet writes Armani, Montiel, Lo Celso. Metal writes not so good. Montiel was very poor. So I'm going to agree with Montiel. In terms of him being on the not so good part for me. I thought moving forward, he didn't really offer much. Defensively, he was decent. It wasn't a standout performance. It wasn't a particularly good performance, in my opinion, for Montiel or by Montiel. So for me, he was in the not so good pile. Luciano Molina writes, Acuna could not make a successful cross. So this is my situation with Acuna. I prefer him as left back over Tagliafico. All right, so for me, he's the starting left back. I think he does well moving forward. He has those little dribbles sometimes, and he has those nice little passes. But I do agree with Luciano in that his crosses leave a lot to be desired. More often than not, his crosses don't fall to the desired player who he's aiming for, and it tends to get cleared more often than not. His link-up play is good. His little 1-2s, his little passing, I think they're very good. They're spot on. It's just his crosses for me are poor. And speaking about the not so good and the poor, so Mike Dees writes Montiel, Palacios, and Lisandro, and that brings me to my second one who I mentioned earlier. Ezequiel Palacios for me offered nothing in midfield. Yes, I saw him win the ball back once or twice. Other than that, he didn't do much moving forward, and maybe that was maybe those were the instructions by Scaloni, because you already have Messi, Agüero, and Papu Gomez and Correa, moving forward. So maybe the instructions by Scaloni were for Palacios: look, stay in the middle and don't venture too much forward. But for me, he did not bring enough defensively, and he brought very little to nothing moving forward in attack. So for me, Ezequiel Palacios, another one alongside Montiel in the not so good pile, in my opinion. Yeah, so there you go. So Simeon writes, Palacios just passes the ball. He did nothing. At times, yes, he blocked some of the Bolivian passes, or tried to get into position to block them. But in general, he did not do enough. Shop Fitness writes, Palacios looked not 100% fit. So maybe he's not 100% fit. Obviously, he has been going through fitness issues throughout the tournament. But there were no reports stating that he was not 100% fit. So for me, not fit. Fit or not fit, I'm going to have to put him on the not so good. A question by Luciano who writes, where's Seba? Seba cannot make it tonight. So Sebastian Garcia, who normally does these post videos with me, unable to make it tonight, but hopefully he'll be there for the quarterfinal match versus Ecuador. And let's go through some of these questions here. Or actually comments, sorry. So Abdullah writes, Paredes came and killed the pace. So I don't know if that was by choice, where Paredes was brought in just to kind of hold the ball and keep control of it, because Paredes is not known for his pace. He's not a particularly fast player, but maybe those were the instructions as well. And a couple of questions as well regarding Nicolas Gonzalez. Gonzalez is another one, like Palacios, some fitness issues. I personally would not start him versus Ecuador, but hey, we're going to get to it. So my top three not so good: Montiel, Palacios, and I'm going to stick to the starting 11. I'm not going to go with a substitute. I'm not going to say Lo Celso or Paredes or anything like that. My third not so good, and this is a difficult one because I did not think there was, really anyone that was bad. I thought Pizzello was decent. I thought Pizzello did very well. I'm going to be picky and I'm going to bend the rules a little bit. I'll say my third not so good was Acuña's crossing. I'm not going to say Acuña per se. I'm going to say Acuña's crossing. Just because I didn't think there was anyone that really, warranted to be on that not so good list other than Montiel and Palacios. I'm not going to be harsh on Armani because, in my opinion, he didn't have too much to do, and what he had to do, he did decent. And the goal, you cannot blame him. You can't fault him for that. So for me, I'm not going to put Armani on there. I see a couple people mentioning him, but again, personally speaking, not for me. Not for me. And now, I see a couple of people asking, what would be your starting 11? Do you go with Papu Gomez? Do you go with Lautaro? Do you go with Agüero? And let's get to it. Argentina versus Ecuador in the quarterfinals on Saturday. And let's take a look actually at the quarterfinal bracket. So let's take a look at the bracket here. I'm just going to bring it up. Here we go. There you go. Perfect. All right. So once more, Argentina have a difficult road. They had a difficult group, and they have a difficult road to the final should they get there. So July 3rd on Saturday, Argentina versus Ecuador. And the other match as well is Uruguay versus Colombia. That means if Argentina defeat Ecuador, they will play either Uruguay once more or Colombia. And these three teams have always been tricky, always been difficult teams for Argentina. Ecuador is never easy. They're very physical. And Uruguay, we know how Uruguay is. And Colombia, we just faced them, 2 weeks ago? So we know how difficult Colombia is. It's definitely Argentina are on the more difficult side of the bracket. They have been throughout the entire tournament. So it's not going to be easy for them. On the other side, we get Brazil versus Chile. So the hosts versus Chile. And then Peru versus Paraguay. So for me, that's the easier side. I would have preferred to have seen, Seba mentioned this to me. We were messaging throughout the match, during the match, and Seba wrote, difficult side of the bracket. I would have preferred Uruguay on the other side. I would have preferred that as well. I would have preferred maybe Uruguay on the other side of the bracket and keep Paraguay on our side. But hey, you get what you get, and you don't complain, right? And if Argentina can make the final, happy days. That's cool. That's good. But you can't complain too much. It's the bracket. It's the way it works. But definitely, Brazil have it easier on the easier side of the bracket. But hey, Argentina versus Ecuador on Saturday. And another rule, or not a change, but a rule maybe that varies from the Euro, is quarterfinals and semifinals. If the match is tied, if it is a draw, there is no extra time. It does go straight to penalties. That appears to be the rule this time around this year. So no extra time in the quarters or semis, straight to penalties if it's a draw. And that could, potentially favor some of the quote-unquote smaller teams. But penalties are a possibility. So let me take a look at your comments. Let's see what everyone here is thinking. Yeah, a couple of people not very happy about going straight to penalties. I like this comment by Abdullah, though. Very positive, very, very good. We are Argentina, and we should win all the games. If we're being honest, we should. I think Argentina has a strong squad, a very good squad, and more than enough to defeat Ecuador. And then versus Uruguay and Colombia, hey, we've been getting the better of Uruguay every single time. Colombia, I don't like facing Colombia, just because they're physical, and I know some people say they're dirty, but I prefer the term physical. Obviously, we saw what happened a couple of weeks ago, the injury to Emiliano Martinez. But what could you do? What could you do? Abul Qasim writes, really hope Chile pull an upset against Brazil. I'm hoping for the same. If I'm being honest, I don't see anyone on Brazil's side of the bracket being able to knock them out. Chile does not look like they're going to have Alexis Sanchez back in time. And this is not the same Chile that, made the final in 2015 and 2016. Not the same Chile side. Brazil are in great form. You never know. Again, if this goes to penalties, hey, you can never tell what could happen. But for me, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult for Brazil not to make the final. I'm going to end with a question. Roy, who would you rather face, Uruguay or Colombia in the semis? This is a tough one. Assuming Argentina get through Ecuador, I would go with Uruguay. I would rather face Uruguay than face Colombia. Not because it would be an easier match, but I think Colombia always kind of turn it on against Argentina and make it more difficult. I don't think Uruguay would play for a draw. I feel like Colombia might play for a draw. And as physical of a game as Argentina-Uruguay is, I feel like Colombia would be more physical. I don't know. Ask me in 2 minutes. I might tell you I'd rather face Colombia. It's difficult. This is a difficult one. It's kind of like a rock and a hard place. I don't know. I don't know. For the time being, I would probably say Uruguay. Not that I fear Colombia the most, but we've seen how it is recently against Colombia in recent times, and I don't want to face them. Maybe I'm not the only one. Wes Mills writes, Uruguay for sure. I don't want to deal with the headache of Cuadrado. There's another one. Although Avjit writes, Uruguay is better than Colombia. Hey, again, ask me in a minute. I might tell you I'd rather face Colombia. I don't know. It's a difficult one. It's really, really a difficult one. Now, in regards to the match itself versus Ecuador, and this is where I want your starting 11. And I'm going to read some of these out right now. I'm going to do a separate video where we're going to talk about them, but I want your comments right now. What would be your starting 11 versus Ecuador on Saturday? Off the top of my head, I would say Emiliano Martinez, obviously as a goalkeeper. I would say Marcos Acuna as left back. I would say Christian Romero as center back. I would say Lisandro Martinez as center back. And right back, I would go with Molina. My midfield would be Guido. So I'd go with Guido Rodriguez, Rodrigo De Paul, and Papu Gomez. And my front three of Messi, Lautaro, Angel Correa. Those would be my three up front, my three in the middle, my four, and the goalkeeper. That would be my starting 11. So Martinez, Acuna, Romero, Lisandro Romero, and Molina. Midfield of Guido, Rodrigo De Paul, and Papu. And up front, Messi, Lautaro, and Angel Correa. So let's see this here. So we have the first starting 11 here. Sports Planet writes Emiliano, then Christian Romero, Otamendi, Molina, Acuna, and then Guido, De Paul, Lo Celso, Messi, Lautaro, Papu. So slight difference between mine and your Sports Planet, but I would not say no to yours at all. I think it's a solid 11. Paro Miguel, Emiliano Martinez, Molina, Cuti Romero, Nicolas Otamendi, Scaloni's choice, Acuna, Lo Celso, Guido De Paul, and then Messi, Lautaro, and either Correa or Nicolas Gonzalez. All right. Interesting. Guys, I see a lot of questions regarding Christian Romero and his injury. Romero's not injured. Romero was rested, the yellow cards as well, although he wasn't on a yellow, but he was rested. So Romero's not injured. Abhijit writes, Martinez, Montiel, Romero, Otamendi, Tagliafico. Okay, so not Acuna, but Tagliafico. Paredes, De Paul, and Papu. And then Di Maria, Messi, Agüero. So, all right, so Abhijit, you would go with Tagliafico and no Guido, although you would go with Papu and Di Maria up front. All right. Interesting. There were rumors regarding Romero's knee discomfort. I did not hear anything, let's say, concrete about it. I would not say anything. I did not hear anything concrete about it. If it was serious, it probably would have made the news a little bit more, and hopefully it's not. Carl Davies writes, Emiliano Martinez, Molina, Romero, Lisandro, and Acuna, and the midfield of Guido, De Paul, Lo Celso, and Messi, Agüero, Papu. So, all right. Oh, okay. So Guido, De Paul, Lo Celso. So slight difference. I would go with Papu in midfield and Correa up front, whereas you would go with Papu up front and Lo Celso in midfield. All right. That's understandable. Abul Qasim writes, Martinez, Molina, Romero, Otamendi, Acuna, Papu, Guido, De Paul, Nicolas, Lautaro, Messi. See, this is where I'm not sure. I would not go with Nicolas Gonzalez. Let me know what you guys think. And this is not saying I'm not a fan of Nicolas Gonzalez. I think he is. But how could I put this? Gonzalez has gotten a couple of chances and he's missed them all in front of goal in terms of scoring. Papu's gotten them and he's scored. Gonzalez will make the runs. Nicolas Gonzalez makes the runs and he helps out defensively. For me, he's probably better suited as a substitute than as a starter, in my opinion. But, that's not to say that Gonzalez has not played well, because he has. He's missing those chances. Let's take a look at this. Upo would go with Martinez, Acuna, Romero, Otamendi, Molina, De Paul, Papu, Guido, Correa, Lautaro, Messi. So this is essentially the same 11, De Paul, Papu, Guido. Yes, so Upo, we share the same starting 11. Here we go. Simeon writes, Martinez, Molina, Romero, Otamendi, Acuna, De Paul, Guido, Lo Celso, or Papu, and then Messi, Lautaro, and Angel Correa. Interesting. Daniel writes, Angel Correa is better than Gonzalez in my opinion. I think he's better suited in that role, to be honest. With this Argentina team, I think he's better suited. Ashik writes, how come people suddenly forgot about Lo Celso? He was electric the first few matches. He was the reason, Argentina were so well in those games. And this is my... So I did not forget about Lo Celso. And the reason why I did not pick Lo Celso is the following. I think Guido Rodriguez has shown that Argentina need that defensive midfielder. So for me, Guido over Paredes, no doubt. That's a lock-in for me. The other option in midfield for me is De Paul. Rodrigo De Paul, excellent two-way player, great moving forward, helps a lot defensively. I think you absolutely have to have him in the starting 11. I think you have to. Which leaves either Papu Gomez or Lo Celso. And I love Lo Celso. I really do. And if he does start, I have no problem with that. But the reason why I would go with Papu Gomez is I think he's more versatile. I think he's faster. I think he's trickier. And I think he has a better shot than Lo Celso. Lo Celso definitely knows how to pass the ball, is a good dribbler, can hold possession. But I feel like Papu Gomez can do those things, but maybe can do them a little bit better than Lo Celso. And he has an eye for goal. I mean, he scored in the last 2 games for Argentina. So I'm not hating on Lo Celso. I'm really not. And if he starts, I would not really be angry or disappointed. But I would just kind of go with Papu instead of Lo Celso. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. In terms of Guido or Paredes, I would definitely go with Guido. I saw a question there at one point. I would definitely go with Guido. And one thing here, I like this, very, very good point here by MN, right? Papu is in form. And in tournaments, you have to go with the player that's in form. You have to. Forget about the form, throughout the season. It's who's in form at the time of the matches right now, what's going on in the Copa America. And Papu Gomez is arguably the most informed player Argentina have outside of Messi in terms of attacking players. Paredes, I'm not saying he's out of form, but Papu's doing better. He's doing better than Lo Celso, doing better than probably anyone else not named Messi. So that is the reason why, for me, I would go with Papu Gomez. And another very good point by Daniel. Daniel mentions Lo Celso is more of an all-around midfielder, where Papu is more attack-minded. It all depends on what the team needs. Yes, and I think having a midfield of Papu, Guido, and De Paul, I think it's properly balanced. Guido, obviously, defensively solid. De Paul offers that two-way, and then Papu, if you give him the freedom to just attack, I think he's good. But hey, if you want something a little bit more balanced, maybe not as risky or not as attacking, you could definitely go with Lo Celso. And that's not to say that Lo Celso is limited moving forward. Absolutely, he's not. Lo Celso is not limited moving forward. But Papu Gomez is probably a more attack-minded midfielder. And there was a comment here I just saw, and it's the same thing that Sebastian Garcia actually messaged me during the match. He said, what is this duo? Like, this is a great duo regarding Messi and Papu Gomez. And they are understanding each other very well. We saw glimpses of that versus Paraguay, but we saw a lot of it tonight. Papu Gomez and Messi linked up very well. Angel Correa as well. Credit to him. I know, we spoke about him briefly earlier, but hey, Correa for me. Good question here. Very good question by Syed. I'm sorry. He writes, or they write, do you think Argentina are peaking at the right time? I think they are. Argentina, and this is not to say that they started out slow. And I know that it's Bolivia, and they had nothing to play for, and this is not. Trust me, I get it. But an Argentina team that attacked tonight, we saw what they were able to do when attacking. Yes, I know it's Bolivia, but we saw what they were able to do. And I would rather have them peak now, or starting to peak now, than have them peak in like the first 2 matches. So I hope they're peaking at the right time. I truly hope that they're peaking at the right time. Let's take a look. So there were a couple of other questions here as well. There was one that asked, would you go with Lautaro or Agüero? Personally speaking, I would go with Lautaro. He does drop back more than Agüero. He tracks back more. He's just more informed than Agüero. I think Agüero as a substitute is very good. At this stage in his career, at this point in his career, I think he's very good as a substitute. But I think as a starter, you got to go with Lautaro. I don't know about you guys. Let me know. Obviously, leave a message. And if you're watching us on playback, if you're not watching us live, leave a comment. Let me know what your starting 11 would be versus Ecuador. Let me know what you guys thought about the match. Who are your 3, good players and 3 maybe not so good players? Leave a comment. Absolutely. I'd love to see that. And so Avjit, there was a message by Avjit regarding Aguero. Sorry, I missed it. But Vinny writes, Lautaro presses more too, and he's better at holding up play. There were a couple of times today by Aguero where I was impressed. He had a nice turn, sharp turn, but he looked slow on the ball, and you could tell he's not sharp. He's still missing that, a little bit of match fitness. So I think that for me is why I would go with Lautaro over Aguero. And Paro says Lautaro ahead of Kun. This comment here was disappointed with Aguero today, but he did have that assist. Yes, he did, and that was a very good assist by Aguero on the Messi goal. Obviously, the third goal, the dink pass, the chip. So it's interesting. Scaloni has options. And specifically in midfield. Now, I'm not saying that's what we're gonna get. We might end up getting Di Maria instead of Correa. We might get Otamendi instead of Lisandro. We might get Pasella instead of Lisandro. But I feel like the 11s that we're mentioning here, I think that's what we're going to get. It's very similar to it. Question by Shaw Fitness writes, how was Alvarez? I thought Alvarez, for his Copa America debut, this is his second ever match for Argentina. I thought he did well. You could tell maybe a couple of times he was a little bit nervous, tried to play the safe ball, the safe pass, which is good. He didn't want to mess it up. So I thought he did well. Came close to scoring. He had a shot inside the penalty area that took a deflection and still almost went in. But the Bolivian goalkeeper really saved it on the line. Very, very good save. So, I thought for the most part, he did well. MN writes, by the way, Messi's top scorer. He's now on 3 goals, right? So he does lead the Copa America in goals this tournament. So, 3 goals so far. Let's take a look. Jaco Taco, where do you think Ecuador could hurt this team? The wings. I would say the wings. Our fullbacks, I like Acuna, and I think he's pretty solid defensively. And I'm a fan of Molina as well. But I feel like that's if there is a weak point, I think it's that. And I feel like at times this Argentina team, kind of struggle when pressed. Argentina, when they're being pressed, I think they struggle at times. We saw at one point in the second half where Bolivia was really pressing Argentina, and Argentina did well, but you could tell against a stronger team, they would struggle. I think Ecuador could hurt them with the press. I think they could hurt them from the wings, and that's part of the reason why I don't want to face Colombia because of Cuadrado. For being honest, guys, he tormented Argentina in the qualifier a couple of weeks ago. Cuadrado was everywhere for Argentina. And it's the pace. If you have fast players, you could kind of get through Argentina often, or at least the midfield. And that's why I think Paredes is key. And that's why I think Guido Rodriguez is an absolute must in this Argentina team. Simeon, yes. So Simeon, it's a very good question. He writes, can you explain your choice of Lisandro over Otamendi? I could and I will. I'll say this. I know a lot of people blame Otamendi for a lot of things, and I know a lot of people don't want to see him starting, and I understand why. However, if we're being very honest, and if we judge Otamendi off the matches, this past month, the qualifiers in the Copa America, he does those mistakes, and it's costly mistakes because it leads to goals. But Otamendi in the air is very solid, and he's won pretty much every ball in the air. Every aerial duel, I feel comfortable with Otamendi in the air. I really do. My problem with Otamendi, the same as others, is he'll do very well for 99% of the game, and that 1% of the game leads to a goal. That 1% where he doesn't do well or a lapse in concentration leads to a goal. And unfortunately with Otamendi, it's happening often. At times it doesn't. I thought versus Uruguay, he was fantastic versus Uruguay. I thought he did very well versus Uruguay. But it's the inconsistency that kills. It's the inconsistency with Otamendi that could kill you, because he could play a solid half, and he's done it before. And then he'll have that one lapse in concentration that will lead to the opposition scoring. So at this point, it's a gamble. If you get Otamendi fully focused, I think you're good. I think it's a lock. Otherwise, it's difficult. I feel like Lisandro is ready again. And this might sound, what's the word I'm looking for? Hypocritical. This might sound, maybe a little bit hypocritical, because Lisandro had that mistake tonight, right, versus Bolivia, where he overcommitted and led to the goal. But I feel more comfortable with Lisandro Martinez than Otamendi. But if I'm being honest, if Otamendi were to start, I would not be too angry about it. I would not be too angry about it, especially if we're going to face a team that's going to cross. So let's say, and I know we're thinking ahead, but if Argentina get through Ecuador and they play Uruguay, Uruguay is going to cross to Cavani and Suarez. So Otamendi is a must. He's an absolute must. So, it could go both ways. Otamendi is good in the air. Sometimes has that lapse in concentration. Lisandro Martinez is not bad in the air by any means, but I don't think he's as good as Otamendi, but maybe more solid at maybe reading the game and his positioning. So it's a toss-up. It's an absolute toss-up for me. But this is what I would go with versus Ecuador. Read your comments. And now the big question is, Argentina has been scoring first every single time. And what's going to happen for Argentina if, they score first versus Ecuador? They're going to score first, but do they sit back and absorb the pressure as they've done in every single match except the match versus Bolivia? Or do they score and try and go for more? And another thing is, what happens if Ecuador scores first? Then what's the game plan? Then it gets dangerous, because, and hopefully it doesn't happen, but we haven't seen it yet. We have not seen this Argentina team get scored on first. We don't know what happens. And another thing is, I hope the boys are practicing penalty kicks. I hope they're practicing penalty kicks, because, as we mentioned, there's no extra time in the quarters and the semis. It goes straight to penalties. So if this goes to penalties, hopefully the guys are going to practice. And this is what I mean. That's a very good point by Avjit. Avjit writes, Argentina can absorb pressure, but the thing is, we don't have the pace on the wings for a counterattack. And this is why I want Papu Gomez over Lo Celso, and this is why I think Angel Correa or even Di Maria are a must, because you need that pace on the wings. You need it, and those players are fast. Papu Gomez is not the fastest, but for me, he's faster than Lo Celso. So it's going to be... It'll be interesting. But they need the pace on the wings if they decide to counter. If they score first and decide to sit back, you need that pace. You got to play it smart. You got to play it quick. So it's an absolute... it's a must to have those fast players. And end with a very good question. Messi not resting, any thoughts? I'm fine with it. The team had a week's rest. Yes, he played the 90 minutes versus Bolivia, but he didn't really run too much. There were at times maybe like a 5-10 minute span where he dribbled and tried taking on. Other than that, I think he's good. We still have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so it's still about 4 days rest. So I don't really have any problems with Messi playing the full 90 minutes tonight. Tawheed, there was a question by Tawheed where he asked, what do you think of Paredes and Guido playing together in midfield? If you're trying to keep a lead, sure. If you need a goal, no. Again, out of the two, I definitely go with Guido just because of that defensive cover. You need it. But if Argentina are chasing a goal, then maybe, I would take Guido off for Paredes. In terms of having them both play together, they're both not fast. Paredes is not the fastest. Guido is not the fastest. So if two of the three midfielders that you have are not necessarily quick, it's going to cost you. I think. So I would not go with those two. And Simeone, he wrote, we have enough rest. Absolutely. There was a question by Rohit who wrote, Germany or England regards to the Euros. I'm going to go with Germany. I would prefer Germany over England, if I'm being honest. I would prefer Germany over England. There was a question here by Daniel, who wrote, if Ecuador, or maybe not a question, but a comment rather, sorry. By Daniel, if Ecuador scores first, it depends when the goal is scored. If it's early on, I have confidence, but them scoring in the second half could be very difficult. And that's a valid point. That's a very, very valid point. You know, if Ecuador does manage to score an early goal, yeah, Argentina would still have most of the game to score. If it's a late goal, if it's a second half goal, then it gets obviously a little bit more tricky, more difficult. So we'll see. Hopefully there's no goals scored on Argentina, period. Safwan mentioned Lautaro scored after he got the red ribbon from Leo. That ribbon strikes again. It does. That was given to Messi during the World Cup, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, he gave it to Lautaro, and Lautaro scored. Wes Mills wrote, I'd rather have Messi firing on all cylinders. Plus, he's not going to agree to sit out. Exactly. So very happy with Messi. It's Messi. Matt S writes, Argentina have not to set back and wait for a counterattack. It's not Argentina's identity. It's really not Argentina's identity. Sabella played it, Alejandro Sabella, during the qualifiers and tried to play during the World Cup, although injuries kind of hurt him. But, you know, Sabella had a prime Messi, a prime Higuain, a prime Agüero, and a prime Di Maria who just killed teams on the counterattack. So, I would rather not have Argentina try and play too much on the counterattack. But if it means Argentina scores, I'm all for it. Jaco Taco, do you prefer Uruguay or Colombia? Oh man, I might still have to say Uruguay, Jaco Taco. I know it's been a couple of minutes, but I would probably say Uruguay still. Avjit mentions or asks, you know, are you worried about having to face Brazil in the final? Nah. I think if Argentina get to the final, I have a pretty good feeling about it. I don't know why. I have a good feeling Argentina take it in the final if they get there. And that's a big if. Daniel, we still struggle with second halves. This game, it was 1-1 in the final 45 minutes despite Argentina dominating. Yeah, again, I mean, Argentina scored in the second half this time around and looked better in this second half than in previous games. But there was a 10-15 minute period where it was, you know, it wasn't the best passing. They dropped back and, you know, Bolivia got the goal. And yeah, it's definitely an issue. I don't know if it's lack of concentration or what, but it's definitely an issue. And let's see here. So Abdullah writes, I don't care about identity. We need a cup. And that's true. I agree. If Argentina wins this Copa America with 1-0 victories, I have no problem. I'll still celebrate. I want that trophy. I want that cup. We deserve it as fans and the players as well, obviously, and the entire country. Argentina definitely deserve a trophy. I don't recall ever saying this. If Argentina win, will you keep your word and start an OnlyFans page? No, because I don't believe I ever said that. But one thing I will say, and I did mention this, I did tweet this out, and I'm saying it on air. So, if Argentina win the Copa America, I will tattoo the name of the Argentine player who scores the winning goal in the final. That I will do. If Argentina win the Copa America, I will tattoo the name of the player who scores the winning goal for Argentina in the final. That I will say. But no OnlyFans page. That's not happening. Avjit, we don't care if we win 4-1 or 1-0 for Argentina. A win is a win. It is a win. And at this point, it's a tournament, and you want that trophy. Daniel writes, Neymar own goal incoming. That's why I specified Argentina goal, Argentine player goal. That's why. But man, I'll take a Neymar own goal. I don't care. I don't care if it's Otamendi. If it's Otamendi, I'll tattoo Otamendi. If it's Martinez Cuarta, I don't care if it's Emiliano Martinez off a header. I'll tattoo it. But I won't. I mean, if it's an own goal, that's something else. I probably won't do the own goal. In that case, I'll probably just tattoo the trophy and Argentina or something. But I won't tattoo the own goal. No. MN Roy, are you more worried to face Brazil or Chile in the final? Nah, I'd say Brazil. I'd say Brazil. I think Argentina can take this Chile side, especially in the final. I think Argentina were very unlucky not to defeat Chile the past 2 times that we faced them this month. I thought we were very unlucky. And this is a different team from the one that was there in 2015, 2016, and it's a different Chile team as well. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. And this is a good one, Daniel. All the Argentine players who score or just the winning goal? Probably just the winning goal. Probably just the winning goal. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Now, look, as long as Argentina win, I'll get a tattoo. I'll get something. We just need them to win first. That's the only thing. And yeah, I don't know if you guys have any other questions, but we're just about to wrap things up. I see a couple of comments here from the Euros. Obviously, the Euros today, or Monday's matches. Wow, great matches. Spain got the win versus Croatia. Very entertaining game. France, World Cup winners, out versus Switzerland on penalties after leading 3-1 with 10 minutes remaining in the match. Goes to penalties. So, oof. Those were 2 very entertaining games. Ayman writes, Argentina wins Copa America and Italy wins Euro. That will be the best final weekend. I have no problem with that. Hey, I have no problem. Argentina wins Copa America. I'm sold right there. Tawheed, where would you get the tattoo? On the forearm, probably, or on the arm. Sorry, on the arm. And let's take a look. Any other comments here? Argentina versus Ecuador prediction. So this is a very good question by ED10, who asks, prediction for Argentina versus Uruguay. Sorry, Argentina versus Ecuador. I'm not gonna give my prediction just yet. We're gonna do a pregame video. We're gonna do a bunch of little videos throughout from now to Saturday. So I'm not gonna do it just yet. I see Argentina win. That's my prediction. But in terms of a score, I'm not gonna go with the score just yet. Although I do see a couple that say 3-1 or 3-0. And Theo writes, Belgium will win the Euro and Argentina will win the Copa 2021. Sign me up, no problem. As long as Argentina win the Copa America, I am good with that. Theo. All right. This was it, guys. Always a pleasure. Absolutely love doing these pre-games and post-games with you. I saw a lot of questions. I couldn't get to them all, if I'm being honest. I'm on Twitter at Roy Nemmer. We're there, MundoAlbiceleste.com. Hit that like video if you haven't already. If you have any other questions, things like that, tweets, I'm going to try and get to as many as I can. And if not, we always have the stream. We always have this. I always love doing it with you guys. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I saw a lot of people here, some from all around the world, India, Pakistan. I saw one from Malaysia as well, obviously Malaysia, Bangladesh, Nigeria. I think there was one from Netherlands as well, United States, Canada, South America, Europe, Africa, everywhere. So that's it for me for tonight. My name is Roy Nemmer of Mundo, Albiceleste.com. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We have a lot of content coming up for you. So thank you for the support. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And until next time, let's keep it up. And thank you, everybody, for joining me once more. Take care, everybody. Bye, everybody.